Alright, this is take 2 of my stress video. I got about 3/4 way through one yesterday and I realised that I hadn't put the mic on, and without the mic you can't really hear anything, but I didn't get too stressed about it. So a little drive talk today, and I'm going to make this a 2-parter, so I'm going to try and, well, I'm going to have to ask Marie to help me stitch 2 videos together, which will be a first. And today's subject that we're going to talk about is getting in the zone, staying in the zone, and stress. So first of all, I need to break down stress. And you've got good stress, bad stress, real stress, and mind-made stress. And what's the difference between good stress and bad stress? Well, good stress, you could say, is doing the right amount of exercise. Bad stress is worrying in your bed at night whether the boss in the morning is going to say something that may or may not happen, probably won't, but might do, but it could do if someone else says something, blah, 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 blah. So stress that you can't do much about is bad. The wrong type of exercise would be bad. If a car were to pull out in front of me and cut me off and I have to really react, the stress that my body produces is actually good stress. Stress that I can't see anything where I'm going because of the sun, that's okay. So the first thing is, let's just go through quickly what happens when we get ourselves kind of whipped up in a bad way. So most of that is what you call mind-made stress, i.e. you're making a problem that is a future event, a what if, and the issue you have with a what if is you can't do anything about it in the now. So you're running up with these scenarios. This guy seems to be going real fast, so we'll let him overtake. He doesn't realise there's a learner in front of him, and I'm just going to move over. Yeah, you have to brake, mate. With mind-made stress, there's nothing you can really do about it in the present moment. It's illusionary. It doesn't exist. It's in the future. It's a scenario that may or may not happen. And the issue with that is your body interprets it as a very real stress and releases the appropriate hormones for faster reactions. I'm going to go this lane. Which is all cool, but one of the things that it does is it produces a hormone called cortisol, which breaks down muscle and turns it into energy. It also inhibits digestion. And then you get caught in kind of like a trap, because when your body is under a great deal of anxiety and stress, it requires energy for the adrenals to function, and your brain is very good at interpreting what foods have the most energy, but it's not great at interpreting what those foods, long, medium, or actually even short term, can do to you. I squeeze in here, breathe in. I.e., you're getting yourself whipped up about some, getting somewhere on time, then getting back to make the meeting, to make the phone call, and then who's going to be in the phone call, and you haven't prepped enough, la da 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 da. And the adrenals send an energy requirement down to the brain, and then that energy requirement, the brain goes, have a biscuit. Knowing that it's full of energy, but not knowing that energy is going to spike and then you're going to crash. So it's not the best food to actually have. Very, 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 very short term, it is. But in the short, medium to long term, it's not, because what happens is you have a high blood sugar reaction, which is stressful. Your body then tries to remain homeostasis by releasing insulin, more stress. And then your insulin collects all that blood sugar up, and then your brain doesn't deal effectively with the issues that are at hand because it's now riding a sugar high and low. The brain does far better with ketones than it does sugar. It's the only organ in the body, energy system in the body that has to run off of 20% glucose. All the others, got that gear wrong, all the others will run 100% off ketones. But the brain does way better off of ketones at 80% than it does at sugar 100%. And one of the reasons for that is your body makes ketones in the absence of food. So it stands to reason that if food runs short, your body will upregulate cognitive function in order that you can figure out your current environmental status to find food. So you have to rise above whatever's going on. And the higher the ketones, actually the higher the concentration periods, or the body's ability to concentrate goes up and up and up. So the more you fast and you get in the zone, the better it is your brain is at dealing with the stress. And that makes it a kind of paradox. Because the paradox is that when we are emotional eaters, we tend to want to go for the ice cream or the biscuit or the booze, and that in actuality is inhibiting us to deal with the stress. And I know it's going to sound kind of contraindicated, and this isn't everyone for every, because there are times where life just throws you such a curveball that sometimes you just got to go off plan. I get it, you know, you don't have to tell me, I get it. You know, we have one of the issues about having your own business and having a gym in Basingstoke is you're going to face financial strains. Don't ever anyone open a business of fitness if you want to be rich. But one of the best things you can do in these situations is actually fast. If you can ride it through and fast, you'll actually find that you deal way better with whatever event is coming up. Way better, in fact, than if you're going to the sweetie jar, popping a few sweets in, because then you get all kinds of weird stress because you feel guilty that you're eating sweets. That's not cool. You know, if you ever eat something, you might as well do it with full ownership of wanting to do it. It's the right decision, and I'm going to enjoy it. You don't want to be eating and going, "Oh, I shouldn't be eating this." That's a bad idea. That then stops your body being able, it doesn't fine-tune your brain well in order to deal with whatever it is making you go to the sweetie jar in the first place. So it's kind of messed up. So what we want to try and do for a start is, what I would say is, if you're dealing with stress, you need to figure out what kind of exercise you can do. Now, I know that some of us on this course have been injured and have been told not to exercise, and I don't like doing these voice notes directly at people, but here I'm going to because there's always something you can do exercise wise. This is what kind of drives Marie and I bad when there's a lot of good physios out there, there's a lot of good doctors out there, and most of them sort of say, well, you know, work around it, don't do anything, don't do this. But when you get stop all exercise for 8 weeks, I'm like, well, that's not possible. Because if you can go to the fridge, open the fridge door, pull out a cream cake to eat it, then you can exercise. If you can walk to the fridge and open the fridge door, and then move the food into your mouth, eat it, and then sit down and sit back up, well, hey, guess what? You've just squatted, you've just walked, you've just semi-lunged. You can exercise. So what are we talking about here? Because at worst way you can walk. If you can't walk, like the Colonel recently, you can hobble in and you can do some TRX. There is always a way. You're talking to somebody that's is at the back end, like for the first time in 5 years, my back is actually getting stronger because I've figured out a missing piece of why it was having flare-ups. But you're talking to someone that's been struggling with a pretty nasty lower back injury for the last 5 years. And all it's really meant was that I have to be a bit, oh fuck, pardon my French, old Bill. The old Bill, he's just there. Where was I? All it really meant was I have to really watch spinning a bag heavy, Russian swings, and lifting up weights from like a seated position. You wouldn't want to run into this bad boy, would you? Hopefully, well, I think that's probably the best bet, stopping for him. Is he going straight? Oh, he is as well. Oh, I think this little Fiesta man probably just saved my life. I was about to get squashed. You know, I figured it out and I dealt with it, and you know, I might have had a few days where I got a bit grumpy with it, especially when, you know, I was having to train people with bad backs and lift weights for them. There's no one that's directed that. It was more like once or twice I was struggling to set a circuit class up, and people were like, well, we have to do a circuit. I'm like, yeah, I can't set it up. How about we just do a mat here? Oh no, we've got to do circuit because this. What you saying? I'm like, great. I don't see you arriving early to set it up, and I'm struggling to walk through the door. But I kept that to myself. I didn't like to go on about it. Haven't I just done that? Anywho, I found a way, right? And actually, well done, Johnny, because actually I'm coming out of it, and I've worked around it, and now I can see a way through it. And that's the problem. Like my Lamborghini client, man, just had an operation, and he's just come in and said, 2 weeks without training with you, Johnny. My elbow's seized up, this is seized up, and that's it. We are built, humans are beings, are built to move. It's turning into a bit of a rant about exercise. And we are also built to move when injured. Because if you get injured and you can't move, you die. So all this nonsense about, you know, you've got a little niggle, stay away from exercise. Come on now. Work around it. Don't make it worse. Do it intelligently. Yeah, I'm not saying push through pain. I'm saying work around pain. And you'll find that 99 out of 100 times that actually motion is lotion, and it actually helps. Injuries are stress. And so exercise actually helps repair and recovery. Bad stress for exercise would be like you've got an ankle injury and you keep running on it. That's bad. Don't do that. Like, if it really, really hurts, that's your body way of saying, stop doing it. Just do press-ups. Just do TRX push-ups. Buzz, push-up, buzz, TRX, buzz, push-up, buzz, TRX. Do 4 rounds of that. Your body will pump all those neural feel-good neurotransmitters, what I'm looking for, around your body. So we have to identify what type of stress we're under. Use exercise, because exercise is real stress and it's good stress. When I say exercise, I mean good exercise. Use exercise to help manage stress. And what I would say is, if you are feeling stressed, try to resist using food to placate the symptomology of stress, and actually fast through it, because fasting will actually alleviate the need to keep refueling on bad foods. And then treat yourself to a meal at the end of the day, and when you eat that good meal, you will feel a great, your body will give you feel-good hormones. If not, take a cold shower, have a cold bath. When you get into that, that's real stress. And when you get out, your body rewards you by getting out, because your body doesn't like being cold. It rewards you with a load of feel-good serotonin, noradrenaline, dopamine, feel-good neurotransmitter, brain chemicals. When you get out of a, I've felt down in the dumps. I suffer a little bit from life getting on top of me. I think it's a genetic thing, where sometimes I get stuck in a future, in a regretful past and a future that I'm not certain about, and life gets on top of me, and I felt quite, unoptimistic about life a few times, in my life. It's something I've dealt with my whole life. I get in a cold bath. When I get out, my troubles are over. They're done. Like, I come out and I'm cheerful, I'm happy, I'm like, oh, and that's because my body's going, don't get in there again, dummy. But I'm overriding that, and I'm using that system to actually help me feel better. I've arrived at Sainsbury's. I'm going to keep talking for a minute or two. This is my favourite parking space, so don't no one park here when you go to when you go to Sainsbury's. So we've done what types of stress, how to manage them, why we want to fast during stress, why we want to exercise, mind-made stress. The other thing is, once we start realizing that it's mind-made stress, we can actually do something about it. And I'm gonna poke into what we have to be careful of what type of exercise we do, because this is person dependent, depends on the person. So there are some people out there, and those of you that know, like for example, I'm going to name someone. There are people out there like I call him Richie T. I call him. He's a good athlete for a runner. He's a runner. So when he runs, his body is actually at a good place. He's quite calm, and I would imagine he's very close to being what you would call in the fitness world a zone 2, low zone 3, high zone 2 area. Now when we do cardio, we want to be in that. Now I can tell you, most of us when we're doing HIIT are kind of in that zone anyway. The HIIT at our place is actually perfect for the demographic of people we are trying to aim at, because we're lifting weights but we're not really getting much above zone 3 to 4, and the people that do go above 3 to 4, they're kind of able to take that anyway. So what I'm trying to say is we have to be very careful to pick the right type of exercise for our bodies. And there's a reason why Marie and I give some of you a hard time about running, is because as soon as you run, you go into red line. Red line is like when you rev it too high, like I did back at that roundabout. I went for first and I got it in second. I got the wrong gears and my engine went, Rah! And my engine didn't like it. And I burnt a lot of fuel and didn't go anywhere. And that's kind of what happens if you've got the wrong type of body for running. And I get it, some of you like to run for your mental health, but what I don't kind of get is why you just don't go for a walk, like a really brisk walk, because it's kind of like the same thing, but it's just so much better for your body. But hey, everyone, free society, you want to run, that's your own business. But you're actually, from a fat loss point of view, you're better off if you're that type of body doing nothing and just sticking 100% to the diet than running. And remember what I said about when you're stressed, you go to the sweetie jar or the cream cake in the fridge, and if you're injured, if you can open the fridge door, you can exercise. Well, the problem with running is it kind of makes you crave the wrong type of foods as well. I mean, you can override it 100%. You can override it, and if you're training, it's a worthwhile pursuit once in your life, doing a marathon or something like that. The achievement of doing it, I get it. But my old fitness coach used to basically say, you should do one in your life from a health point of view. And what he's kind of saying is, it's the same old adage as the this is a crazy statistic, that it's actually healthier. The riders that did the Tour de France back in the day were healthier because they were so drugged up. So it's actually healthier to do the Tour de France on drugs, performance enhancing drugs, than off. And that's because the body's just not designed to do that kind of amount of endurance day after day after day. And we are the evolution equivalent of our ancestors. We're not pugs, but we're probably something like a Labrador. We're not wolves. Our ancestors were wolves. They could run all day, every day. They ran with broken legs and broken ankles. There's been skeletons found to prove this. We are not wolves anymore, Hopefully none of us are pugs. But we're definitely kind of like Labradors in that chain of evolution. We have de-evolved from our ancestors who were tough. The sheer fact that you're here meant that they were tough. So we need to pick the right type of exercise and get yourself at the right type of weight to do the type of exercise. So if you want to be a runner, my advice is to get super duper lean. Get yourself as light as possible for your joints and all your other muscles. Get yourself being a good fat burner, and then maybe address running. Yeah, because running is stressful. Life is stressful. Coming to the studio is stressful, but the way we structure our classes is it's the smallest amount of stress that we feel that you can do. It's the largest amount of stress, which is actually a small amount, that we feel is healthy for the body. And since we've been running the classes like we have for it's well over 10 years, every single study and bit of evidence is all pointing towards the fact that we're kind of doing it the right way. So, if it ever changed, I would, hold my hands up and go, we're doing something wrong here, we need to tweak it. But it turns out we're not. And the stats in the book we've got actually show that. People burn the most body fat when they don't overtrain, when they come in and train 3 to 4 to 5 times a week at 20 to half an hour at a time. If you come and do 3 classes, you want to kind of do like Michelle Claire does. She uses the first class as like a warm-up. She does like ATGs, Poliquins, very low demand, almost like a very extended warm-up at 9 o'clock. She then trains really hard in the barbells, and then she kind of coasts home a little bit in the circuit. And that's kind of, if you ever do a triple or a double, it's kind of what you want to do. You want to warm up in one class and then go hard, or go hard in the first class and then kind of cool down. 45 minutes is your tap out, where you're absolutely your max before exercise starts becoming less efficient for people our age. And obviously the older you get, the smaller the window. When you're 70 years old, you're looking at 20 minutes 3 times a week is going to be good. When you're 15, you can train for 2 hours every day, 7 days a week. It's no problem. It's intelligent training is what I'm trying to say. Right. I think the last video was a bit better, but I didn't have a microphone on, so it always goes like that. So the take home, just to run over quickly, is when you're stressed, realise what type of stress it is. Is it mind-made? Not real. Is it real? Are you supporting the brain with the right amount of nutrients to help it or hinder it? Are you breaking and hindering your ability to cope with stress by yo-yoing with foods that are going to raise your blood sugar or not? If you're injured, I don't really think that applies to anyone here, because most people here like to train and want to train, but there are people out there that, injury, can't train, I'm out. And I would really strongly advise against that. There are 1 or 2 injuries obviously out there, but if you saw Flick came and trained on Sunday, and she's sort of, hopefully she's at the end of her chemotherapy battle, but she's, as much as she can, she has trained through it. If Flick can get down in the gym, having all the operations she's had and the chemotherapy she's had, you can get down there with your bad little toe. The next time you see me, in theory, a day will have passed. And I'll be like, phew, because I'm in a time machine. Alright, I hope that helps. That's a 23-minute. I might even make this one video because it's quite long. No one's going to watch it for an hour, are they? Alright, well that's a little help on stress. I'm off to go and get stressed in Sainsbury's. Bloody hell.